Well, the mainstream media hyping another so-called crisis in the White House, this time about the president's son-in-law.
The president's son-in-law and advisor, Jared Kushner, is now at the center of a crisis.
Jared Kushner in crisis. The president now weighing in on the allegations against his son-in-law.
Total confidence. President Trump publicly defends son-in-law Jared Kushner, but privately, new word, Kushner is being warned to lay low.
Could this be the biggest crisis since Watergate? Really? Good question. Judge, you gave away my point of view. Fox News judicial analyst, senior judicial analyst Judge Napolitano here. Judge, this was based on a Reuters report that said Jared had a private source, had a back channel with the Russians, and recommended they go into the Russian embassy and go directly with this line of communication. This is Reuters said they have 3 undisclosed sources that told them this story.
I was laughing at your question. I'm not laughing at the seriousness of this.
Yeah.
However, it is ridiculous that the mainstream media keeps calling this a crisis. All we know is Jared Kushner has hired a lawyer, and he's probably hired
Jamie Gorelick.
Correct. Jamie Gorelick ran the Justice Department, was the #2 person in the Justice Department in the Clinton era. She's a very good lawyer. She's a Democrat. She's a liberal Democrat. She's an activist in the Democratic Party, but she knows the Justice Department. She knows the mentality of the people that are probably seeking documents from Jared Kushner because of his interaction with General Flynn, who was probably the target of the Justice Department. Again, I say probably because there's no formal charges or allegations against either of them out there. Question: is it a crime for Jared Kushner to speak to Ambassador Kislyak when Jared Kushner is representing his father-in-law, and the father-in-law is the president-elect of the United States? Answer: no. Is it a crime for them to speak to each other in some private and secure place when they know that the transition is being surveilled by the intelligence community? Answer: no. It's the smart thing to do. The only thing that could be criminal would be if Jared Kushner held himself out as representing the government of the United States of America. Extremely unlikely. Kislyak is no dope. That is a potential crime if he held himself out and if the Russians took action in response to what he said. That would be the equivalent of a private person conducting his own foreign policy. The other potential problem, and I'm really looking between the lines here, is when the FBI did their background check on Jared Kushner, they asked him, did you meet with any foreign officials in this time period? If he did not tell them about Ambassador Kislyak, well, then he would have a problem there. If he did tell them, and we'll never know whether he told them. He said, I'm willing to
go in front of Congress and talk about it. But isn't this something that's pretty common? Didn't we see Hillary Clinton do this? Didn't we see President Obama do this?
When he was candidate Obama.
Well, isn't something like a server a real crime, too?
It is very common for representatives of the incoming administration to start getting their feet wet with foreign governments.
Sure.
I mean, Donald Trump, according to the version that was leaked by the people around Jared Kushner this weekend, basically said to him, I want you and Mike, meaning General Flynn, to find out what's going on in Syria. Or are the Russians really using military hardware there? So they go to Kislyak saying, Mike Flynn wants to talk to some Russian generals. Can you set it up? Talk to, not conduct foreign policy, not discuss national secrets, but talk to. When Ronald Reagan was first elected president, Bill Casey, who ran his campaign and then became the director of the CIA, negotiated with the Iranian government with respect to the release of the hostages at the same time that the real CIA was negotiating.
Jimmy Carter's still complaining about that, by the way.
Probably still is.
But there's also today about the New York Times about a contact with a bank with the Kushner, with a Russian bank.
If I were Jared, I wouldn't say anything, because you shouldn't deny until you've been accused. Mike Flynn is doing the right thing by remaining silent. Neither has been formally accused of anything, and all we do is talk about them.
That's right.
Without the facts.
With headlines.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Judge.